In the next 5 to 10 years, they'll be able to create a human heart in a lab using stem cells. That's the future of regenerative medicine and stem cell therapy. Pretty crazy stuff.
This week on Cleared for Takeoff, Seth Berge, a stem cell expert, joins us to talk all about the uses of stem cells in today's medicine.
Stem cells are your body's repair system, and one of the most remarkable things that stem cells can do is they can actually repair damaged tissue. As we get older, some of those stem cells die out. Even at age 40-ish like us, our stem cells are not what they used to be. We don't have as many, we don't produce as many, they're not as good at repairing. People say, why would I get an injection of stem cells? The idea would be to put as many of those new healthy stem cells into an area that needs repair.
So it works.
Oh, it works. Joe Rogan talks about this all the time. He had a full-on rotator cuff tear. They put stem cells in his shoulder, and within a few months, without any surgery,
the next MRI I had, the tear was gone. It goes.
The whole purpose of a stem cell therapy or regenerative therapy is to actually address the root cause. People want to get out of pain. They want alternatives. They don't want surgery. They don't want painkillers all their lives. They want to live their best life. For so many people, pain and discomfort is keeping them out of doing that.
Now the big looming question in my mind is these magical God cells. Where the heck do you get them?
I always tell people right away, the products that we source come from.
Seth Berge, welcome to Cleared for Takeoff. You have been in the stem cell business for quite a while now and made a big name for yourself. But I don't even know what a stem cell is. Like, what the heck are stem cells?
Great question. Starting with the basics, right? Stem cells are your body's repair system, first and foremost. We have them in our bodies. Stem cells are what do the repair in our own bodies, first of all. Some people call a stem cell an undifferentiated cell. What that basically means, it has the ability to turn into other cells and actually communicates with other cells in your body. And one of the most remarkable things that stem cells can do is they can actually repair damaged tissue. So the people say, why would I get a stem cell therapy or why would I get an injection of stem cells? The idea would be to put as many of those new healthy stem cells into an area that needs repair.
So your body already has stem cells.
Yes.
So do we make less of them as we get older?
Great question. As we get older, some of those stem cells die out. So we do not have nearly the number of stem cells we had when we were young. And if you think about how fast a baby grows from the time they're born, even through the first 6, 9, 12 months, they're full of stem cells. That's one of the reasons why, right? So not only do we lose some of our stem cells as we get older, the stem cells that we have, which remember these repair cells, they're not as effective as they were when we were younger. So a 40-year-old.
So they get old too.
They get old too. So your stem cells are as old as you are. So I know we're talking to couple of young guys here, but even at our age,
I do what I can.
Even at age 40-ish like us, our stem cells are not what they used to be. So we don't have as many, we don't produce as many. They're not as good at repairing. I'm sure you've probably noticed a little bit that when you get hurt or injured, it's not quite as quick of a recovery as it might have been when you were, say, 7 or 8 years old.
Yeah.
So that's part of the reason.
It is remarkable how quick my kids heal after something, like they get a cut or something. It's pretty amazing how quick they heal up.
That's a good
So
way to
you're
look
saying
at it.
that's stem cells.
That's a big part of it, yes. Yep.
So are we just abundant with them, like, or do the number of stem cells you have degrade too?
The number that you have degrades. There's a chart that I use when I do educational seminars. I'm not going to get the exact numbers right, but it's from age 0, like from the time you're born, to age 12, to age even like 30, to age 65 plus, and it's a dramatic difference in the number of the type of stem cell that repairs you. It's called a mesenchymal stem cell, not to get too boring, but it's a dramatic drop off as we age of these repair cells.
So how do they, could you explain how they work?
They communicate with each other. That's how do stem cells work with the body? A lot of it has to do with the signals that they're sending, things like growth factors, proteins, cytokines, exosomes. We could really nerd out, but there's a reason people call it a God cell too. To fully understand,
They call it a God cell.
They call it a God cell because the ability, it's in our body, it's in our DNA, it has the ability to repair us. There's so many things it can do, and it really is kind of hard to understand. So I always tell people I am not a biophysicist. I'm not I don't have a PhD in biology. I've read or I've tried to read some of the like PhD level biology books where they talk about how these cells communicate with each other. But I'll be honest with you, Charles, some of that goes over my head.
Yeah. Well, you have them working for you. You've got the smart people.
I do have, there's people smarter than me that have written a lot of publications on how the stem cells communicate and exactly what's going on a molecular and cellular level. But the easiest way to say it is they are the repair cell, and they can turn into cells that the body needs them to, and specifically for tissue, organs. Those are the two things.
So they work on your internal organs too?
They can work on the internal organs too. There's a lot of work that's being done now on organ regeneration and organ health, and the future of regenerative medicine and stem cells is pretty wild. I mean, their Cleveland Clinic came out with a story that they thought in the next 5 to 10 years they'll be able to create a human heart in a lab using stem cells. So not like a pig heart transplant or somebody else's. Like, we're not that far away from able to use a person's stem cells and bioengineer new organs.
So they could take your DNA and use stem cells and grow a replacement heart that's yours.
That's the future of regenerative medicine and stem cell therapy, is even complete organ regeneration, brain, Alzheimer's, dementia. It's pretty wild. As many things, as many lives as we're changing globally and here locally in the US and everything, what's coming down the pike is even wilder for disease, cancer, autoimmune conditions. Pretty crazy stuff.
Okay, so help me understand. When I was, I don't know, a lot younger, you'd hear about stem cells and athletes going overseas to get these treatments, and you hear about them here now, and so something must have changed where it's now something you can do here in the United States.
Yeah. So that's one of the things that people always ask me. There's so much confusion around the industry, so much confusion. And I was introduced to the industry before I was even in it. I shouldn't say the industry. I'd heard about stem cells from athletes. So I don't remember the exact year, maybe 2008-ish, but Kobe Bryant went overseas, and everybody's on ESPN is like, Kobe Bryant went overseas to do this newfangled treatment. They didn't really know what it was, but I remember if you dug into it, it would say the word stem cell. It didn't mean anything to me other than, wow, that's cool. These athletes are doing whatever it takes. Yeah. Tiger Woods, Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer. I go on and on and on. Alex Rodriguez, all these people going overseas to get stem cells, because at the time there really wasn't a good place to get good, healthy young stem cells. The U.S. hadn't really adopted the umbilical cord stem cell thing, which we'll talk about where they come from.
I want to get into where it comes from in a minute.
That's a huge part, but they were going overseas because that's where it was available.
Yeah.
And that's not the case anymore, obviously. I've been in the space 8.5 years, but yeah.
So the U.S. has caught up, and now the big looming question in my mind is these magical God cells. Where the heck do you get them?
Yeah. So that's the other, I'm glad you asked, because that's what so many people don't understand. And that's why I'm passionate about being in this space, education.
And is it ethical?
Yes.
Right? There's
yes.
a lot of ethical, are we, so I'll let you take the stage on that.
So one of the first things when I give an educational seminar to a group of 30 to 40 people who want to learn about stem cell therapy is I always tell people right away, the stem cells, the products that we source come from healthy, screened birthing tissue. So birthing tissue means if a mother is going to have a C-section, she's already said, we're going to do a C-section, it's scheduled for this day. The hospital, not every hospital, but more and more of them are going to ask that mother what she wants to do with her birthing tissue. The birthing tissue is mainly the umbilical cord. Talk about the placenta, the amnion, all that. So all that gets collected if that mother signs a consent form.
Collected by you guys?
And no, not yet.
Okay.
No. So the hospital has to have a process. They follow American Association of Tissue Bank, FDA guidelines. So that mother is a donor. And that mother is not a donor unless she gets all of her medical records screened.
So she has to consent, and then she has to be healthy enough to do it.
And the birth has to go absolutely perfectly. So just a little side story here. A colleague of mine in the space a couple years ago was his wife was going to have a baby, and they're like, oh, we want to donate the umbilical cord. And they had the scheduled C-section and everything. Well, during delivery, the umbilical cord got wrapped around the baby's neck, tragically, but only about 5 seconds, maybe 8 seconds, but just enough so that it changed the flow of the delivery, and not enough of the strict guidelines were handled, and they were not able to use that cord. So that's how strict they are when it comes to whether that tissue can even be handled that way. Yeah. So assuming everything goes perfectly, the mother's screening goes well, she consents, that baby's delivered healthy.
And is there a benefit to the mom for doing this?
They don't get paid to it.
So she's just saying, I'm giving this to medical stuff, science.
She has three options. She can donate. She can check a box to destroy it. I don't know that many people do it. Maybe like, I don't want anybody using my stuff.
Yeah.
She can donate, which more I think it's like 70 or 80% of mothers choose donate. Now, most hospitals will give that mother an option of freezing or banking that
That tissue.
raw product.
Yeah.
Yes. And now it's a raw product. So sometimes people are like, well, if my grandkid's having a baby, can I get their cord? And it's still not processed, but there are plenty of people out there that have their birthing tissue frozen,
Yeah.
either in a hospital or a cord banking. It costs us several $1,000s a year.
Yeah.
So most people are just donating it. And again, if that mother's healthy, the delivery's healthy, that tissue gets cryopreserved right away. And then there's a third party that's ran by FDA, American Association of Tissue Bank guidelines, where they completely screen and clean that tissue, meaning they remove all endotoxins. They run it through about 52 different rounds of sterility testing. They're making sure there's no communicable diseases. Even though they've already tested the mother, they're extra careful. So that's a third party that then gets all this raw material, this tissue that's been deemed clean. And then that's where me and my partners come in, purchase that in bulk, have a manufacturers that make the products for us. But it's been thoroughly tested. And that's
So-
the advantage of the United States over overseas is, say what you want about the FDA. I have all sorts of problems with them, but their job, they're very hawkish on making sure that the end products are completely safe.
So when the mother donates the birthing tissue,
Yep.
none of this is coming from the placenta. It's only the cord blood.
No, there's products that are made from the placenta as well.
Okay.
Yep.
And
there's
stem
products.
cell products?
The stem cell, there are stem cells in the a little bit of stem cells in the amniotic fluid and tissue. There are some stem cells in the placenta.
So that baby's just floating in
That's
stem
all
cells.
sorts of good stuff.
Wow.
There's so much good stuff that's in there. The vast majority of the products, though, that you see in the marketplace, that athletes that I provide, the umbilical cord. So let's talk about that. A healthy cord can have up to 500 million day zero mesenchymal stem cells in one cord. So the cord is, in this industry, most of the products are coming from the umbilical cord.
But if the baby's born in the, because I had kids, the cord kind of goes flat after all the blood comes out of the placenta through the cord into the baby, and then they clip it. They're not like clipping it off prematurely to save the cord blood, are they? They're letting the baby take all the cord blood.
Yeah.
So you're stripping basically the empty cord.
Now, some of that, the cord blood that isn't used by the baby, that cord blood is used. There are cord blood stem cell products too.
Sure.
There are. I don't deal with them as much. Those are for some different applications. But I'm going to nerd out on you since you're going.
I love
there.
this
I was going to
stuff.
say you're
So
going there,
cool.
so I'm going to do it. So I'm going to tell you a term. It's called Wharton's jelly.
Okay, I've heard that.
Yeah, Wharton's jelly, WHARTON', named after Dr. Wharton. In the late 1700s, discovered this. Wharton's jelly, and you can Google this at home, runs through every umbilical cord. It's like the gooey goodness that stabilizes the cord. Anyway, the richest source in the umbilical cord for the stem cells, the growth factors, the cytokines, proteins, collagen type 1 and 3, which is very, very important. Collagen is good for healthy tissue.
Yeah.
So you're talking about the richest source. There's hyaluronic acid. There's all sorts of these different things. The Wharton's jelly itself in that umbilical cord is actually the coveted part of the cord.
Really?
They do like to keep cord blood, but the Wharton's jelly gets extracted.
So the cord blood really is irrelevant. It's the Wharton's jelly in the cord.
For most
And that's
of the
not
commercial
going into
products.
the baby.
Right.
That's
right.
just part of the structure of
part
this
of the
cord.
structure. Yep. So again, there's some cord blood saved in some products there, but the vast majority of the commercial products here in the U.S. and overseas comes from the Wharton's jelly portion of the umbilical
So
cord.
like volume wise, you take a regular umbilical cord. It's
Yeah.
what, 18 inches
Yeah,
long or
and
whatever.
they're all different sizes too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you take a cord, how much Wharton's jelly that can be used comes out of an umbilical cord? Is it like a tablespoon? Is it like
There's a lot more than that. Yeah.
Really?
So we can make it. So Wharton's jelly products there's going to be different quantities. So we make a product that has 70 milligrams of Wharton's jelly tissue. That's on the low end. That's our lowest end Wharton's jelly product. We use that for cosmetic aesthetics. We microneedle in the hair, the scalp, under the eyes. You don't need as much of the good stuff for some of those applications. So we make products that only have 70 milligrams of Wharton's jelly tissue. We make our highest end product that we like to put in is higher than anybody else in the marketplace, by the way. It's 300 milligrams of Wharton's jelly tissue weight in a 2 ml vial. So yes, there's some saline, of course, but Wharton's jelly is measured by tissue weight. So the more Wharton's jelly you have per injection or per vial, the more stem cells,
So it's
more growth factors.
concentrated.
It's all about
Yeah.
concentration levels when it's Wharton's jelly.
So that now you're injecting biological material
Yes.
into somebody. Do they have to be a match,
No.
like a blood match?
Great question. So Wharton's jelly doesn't contain any blood, right?
Okay.
And the birthing tissue is considered immunoprivileged. It hasn't gone far enough in the gestation process to pick up many DNA markers. It's neutral. Okay.
So it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It matters that the mother's clean, free of disease, that the tissue's been properly cleaned, which the American Association of Tissue Banks and the FDA make sure of that. So as long as the tissue's been cleaned, it does not matter. There's virtually zero chance of rejection in the body. There's no human leukocyte antigen blockers. Google that one, HLA blockers. They don't exist in birthing tissue. So if I were to give you my cells or my tissue, my biologics, we might have to do some blood matching. We'd have to make sure, anti-rejection. But that's part of the secret sauce of using birthing tissue is it's considered to be neutral and without DNA markers.
Do stem cells have DNA like we have DNA?
No, not from the cord. No,
So the cord stem cells are like these empty shells.
undifferentiated.
So when you put them into somebody, and I want to talk about the different ways you do it,
Yeah.
but when you put them into somebody, are they activating your own body's work or are they doing the work?
Some of both. So the stem cells are going to signal your body's what you actually have in that area. It's going to start signaling the other cells to start repairing. And they're actually themselves they have the ability to turn into things like soft tissue. So one of the reasons it's so effective for sports medicine injuries is if you think about where soft tissue is in your body, ligaments, tendons, muscles. There's
Low blood flow
areas. So post-injury. So people like, we're in Minnesota here, Kirk Cousins, a couple years ago when he tore his Achilles for the Vikings, he snapped his Achilles. He got it surgically repaired here at TCO. But a couple weeks later, he flew with his family to Antigua because his personal doctor in Chicago runs a stem cell. He's had a stem cell clinic out there for years, and it's Antigua in January. So
Yeah.
he took a vacation, but he went there to get Wharton's jelly stem cell therapy. I dug into the research. They use an American
product.
tissue bank. It's just the same stuff we do. But they went down there and they implemented the Wharton's jelly, the stem cells and the growth factors and everything into the surgically repaired area because it's going to, what the stem cells in these products do is they're going to promote blood flow to injured areas. So it's going to speed up his healing process. It's going to potentially greatly limit any osteoarthritis or extra inflammation or scar tissue he would have in the area. So that's why it's so big in sports medicine. Post-surgery, anytime anybody's, doing a meniscus repair or an ACL tear, Achilles, things like that, all these orthopedic
So
doctors.
significant ligament or joint related things benefit really well from it.
So even post-surgery, but the really fun part is if it's not so far that you have to have surgery. So if you have a strain, even Joe Rogan talks about his shoulder. He had a full-on rotator cuff tear, and he talks about this all the time. They put stem cells and exosomes, which are part of the whole process, but he put Wharton's jelly in his shoulder, and within a few months, it actually repaired, without any surgery, his torn rotator cuff.
Now, people are using BPC 157 as a peptide, but this is a completely different science.
Yeah, I mean, I use BPC myself too, so I'm not going to say that BPC is worthless, but it certainly is not the same. It's not a biologics. A BPC is going to be good for recovery, but if you have an actual soft tissue defect, BPC is not going to be nearly. It's like apples and oranges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about the ethical concerns.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of people that say, this is an unethical medical treatment. What are they saying that they don't like about it?
What they're saying is they don't understand it. So a tiny bit of history on the stem cell industry. Late 90s, early 2000s, we're old enough to remember that. Remember Christopher Reeve, the original Superman, he had a spinal cord injury, and then Michael J. Fox with his Parkinson's. They started realizing the potential of stem cells for all sorts of spinal cord injuries, dementia, all sorts of stuff. At that time, they really had only discovered or studied embryonic and fetal stem cells, which is a different type of stem cell altogether.
Not the Wharton's jelly.
Not umbilical cord based.
So when did they figure that out?
I don't know the exact year, but the ethical concern goes back to, at that time, is the George W. Bush years. It's a pro-life versus, when does life begin type of thing. I'm not here to talk about that.
So you're saying back then we were taking it from aborted fetuses?
Nobody was doing it, but what they were trying to do is get federal funding to start taking aborted fetuses and using that for research.
I see.
So that's where the ethical concern. So if you're staunchly pro-life and you remember, if you're old enough, you remember stem cells bad.
Yeah.
So when I do my educational seminars to people that are 55 plus, I start off the seminar telling them this isn't coming from fetal tissue. Don't throw the croutons from your salad I just fed you at me.
Yeah.
We're talking about ethically sourced. So I'm glad I really do make that joke.
Yeah.
Or I see the tomato on your salad. You're going to throw it at me. We're not talking about aborted babies. We're talking about ethically sourced. The baby's born happy, healthy to the mother.
Yeah.
But that's why some people still think, they still hear stem cells and they think fetal or embryonic. Absolutely not. It's not even legal in the U.S. And whether you think it's ethical or not, it's not legal. It doesn't matter.
Sure. So the ethical thing really isn't even a concern anymore because it's being sourced in a very ethical way.
With one exception, if you have any Jehovah's Witness people that are listening, they don't like to put any DNA from, and they don't no blood,
no biologics.
They just, but
aside from that,
yeah,
that's interesting. So the sourcing of it really was where people had problems.
Originally, yes. And then the other confusion, so this isn't ethics, but before the umbilical cord, biologics industry really started taking shape here, probably 2017, 16, 18, there was a market for using your body's own stem cells for the same idea.
Where they'd spin off your plasma,
yes.
extract.
That's PRP, but that's part of it. That's like the lowest level of regenerative therapy, PRP, where they take your blood and there's no stem cells there. But the other thing you could do, and there's still some doctors that do this, they could dig into your bone, your hip, take the bone marrow out, because your bone marrow is a pretty rich source of these mesenchymal stem cells.
Sounds painful.
Or your body fat, your adipose tissue. They spin it, they re-inject it. But that's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad. I've met many people where that worked, but it usually takes 3, 4, 5 rounds of treatment. And remember, your stem cells are as old as you are.
Sure.
So if you're even our age, but if you're 50, 60, 70, you've had a whole lifetime of disease, degeneration. You're just hoping that the cells you have are going to work. You're just kind of hoping beyond hope.
So in a way, this is kind of a fountain of youth.
It's
in an ethical way.
It's an ethical. I mean, I'm not saying you're going to live forever, but there are so many people doing this for longevity reasons, because I know you didn't ask me about this yet, but I do quarterly stem cell IVs for myself, because I put it through the bloodstream. I know the stem cells are going to go to my heart, my lungs, my liver, my kidneys. It's good for my immune system. This type of stem cell also modulates the immune system. So that's why there's so many people doing, that have autoimmune conditions that have had great success with, stem cell and exosome therapy.
It's absolutely fascinating. Yeah. So, okay, you mentioned taking it in an IV. How I've been familiar with it is that it's injected on a site, like, my knee is wrecked, help me understand. What's the difference?
That's a great question. It's not an either or, it's potentially and. So I talked in the beginning about soft tissue defects. So the number one use for this, sports medicine, pain management, you name it, is soft tissue injuries. So if you have a tear in your shoulder, tear labrum, if you can't lift your shoulder above your, tons of guys that go to the gym, they've been lifting weights for years. They've torn something. They don't want to go to the doctor, but they just know they can't bench press 100%. Like they used to, right? They've got tendon, they've got soft tissue damage. We are going to put the stem cells into the area,
in the location
every single time. If you got a bad knee, putting the stem cells in the knee.
So what does that look like? Just a big needle going
just a relatively big needle, the size of a testosterone needle, the size of it's bigger than an insulin needle. Yeah. But it's, I've got videos all over my stuff. It's not that scary. It's not, I'm not saying it's fun, but it's not that much different than a flu shot. So they're going to draw up. It's not a one size fits all, but let's just say it's your shoulder. They're going to drop I'm probably going to order you a 2 ml or a 2 cc vial of the most concentrated Whartons jelly product on the market that we make. And that provider is going to examine you, and they're going to find the joint space, going to ask questions, potentially get some of your prior diagnosis if you have an MRI or X-ray or CT scan stuff. And they're going to inject into the area that has the damage. Now, it does not have to be, sometimes people get thrown off. It's not like a cortisone shot that needs to be exactly precise to hit the nerve or it's not going to work. The cells are going to find the inflammation. They're going to find the damage. We also err on the side of using a ton of product.
Yeah.
So they're going to get into that joint space. They're going to flood that area and the cells are going to go to work. So long answer to short question is we are absolutely, if you have localized pain, joints, you're going to do a localized injection. The IV is different.
Hang on, before you go to the IV
yep.
though, will this rebuild someone's cartilage in their knee or their hip? Will this make you so you don't need a knee or hip replacement?
That is probably the number one driving force for people. Other than biohackers, I mean, there's also, the biohackers, the guys that just want to be the best at everything. The 55 plus community that has been told the only way to get out of knee pain, hip pain, shoulder pain is to put, an artificial knee or a hip. That is without a doubt still the biggest market. People that don't want to have a knee replacement. So there is so many studies about how these biologics products have actually regenerated cartilage, gotten rid of, before and after MRIs,
so
osteoarthritis. Oh, it works. I mean, there's a reason it's a $25 billion industry.
I mean, when remember when I connected my mom with you, I was like, she's got this finger joint thing, and it was amazing how she felt like she forgot about her pain.
That's the idea,
and it was crazy.
Yeah.
To this day, her hand is great.
Yeah. So joint injection, yes. So
it
localized
does
injection,
even a big joint like your knee.
That's the most common. The knee's the most common. Shoulders number 2. I'd say probably number 3 is lower backs. Because so many people have degenerative discs. So stem cells. We keep saying stem cells, which is great. I've got it all over my hat. You've heard me talk about Whartons jelly. We're really talking about regenerative medicine. So a injection of Whartons jelly tissue. It's going to contain stem cells and all that other good stuff that we talked about. That's a regenerative therapy. So if you think about what is the goal of a regenerative therapy, it's very simple. It's to regenerate.
Yeah.
Do you need regenerative therapy? Well, only if you have a degenerative condition. A degenerative condition would be arthritis. It would be a tear in it would even be somebody that is bone on bone or near bone on bone in their knee. Because what is cartilage? Cartilage is soft connective tissue.
Yeah.
So you have a defect. So where you have a defect, we supplement your tissue defect with umbilical cord tissue. If we get real technical,
because your body's just not doing it.
Your body's not doing it for either age, injury, or disease. One of the 3 or all of the 3 in some cases. So we're going to supplement with the biologic, which contains all the stuff that heals the body.
Yeah.
So it's like, sometimes you want to real technical, we're like doing a tissue supplementation.
Yeah.
So if we put that tissue, which got millions of cells and all that stuff, into that knee joint, there's case study after case study of actual regeneration of that cartilage.
So this is scientifically showing regenerating actual cartilage in a knee.
Mm-hmm. I've got on my websites, we link to a bunch of studies showing that. Yep.
So how many times do you have to do this procedure? Let's say you need it in your knee or your shoulder. How many times do you have to do this?
That is a great question. And unfortunately, there isn't a one-size-fits-all answer. So here's what I will give you, because not everybody's the same, because not everybody's level of degeneration is the same. Not everybody's as healthy, just generally not everybody's the same age. But here's my philosophy with the way we run our business with my medical providers. We want this to be a one and done. So for the vast majority of our patients that we treated over 8 years, most of them with one treatment have gotten the results they want. Because if you think about it, if your condition, if your pain was due to a tear or missing cartilage or a bulging disc, the whole purpose of a stem cell therapy or regenerative therapy is to actually address the root cause. So different than a cortisone shot or even a hyaluronic acid shot is really just to get you out of pain, but it's not addressing the root cause. A successful regenerative therapy actually regenerates. And if you can get the baseline back to where you were 20, 30 years ago, that should mean that you shouldn't have to do it again. Now, there are plenty of cases too where a secondary, maybe 3, 6, 9 months later, a year later, it's not, it's not a one size fits all. I don't think much in medicine is though.
Yeah.
You ask one person, we could line up 10 people who got a knee replaced.
Yeah.
And ask all 10 of them how their experience went. How long did it take you to recover? When did you get, you're going to get 10 different answers.
Yeah.
So sometimes people are like, tell me exactly how long it's going to take till it works. It's still the human body, and it's not 100% the same with everybody.
Does it hurt?
To do it.
Yeah. I mean, you're shoving
yeah.
a big needle in my knee. I'm wondering if it's going to hurt.
It's not going to feel good, but here's what I mean, you said you're shoving a big needle in your knee. Most people say it was surprisingly not that painful.
Okay.
So,
because there's not a lot of those like sensing nerves beyond the dermis.
no. Now, well,
I mean, I could be wrong. Doctors, correct me in the comments.
That's about. I always joke with people, like I talk about it, like you're not going to see me show up in scrubs with a needle. Like I'm not injecting you. I only use providers that are pros in orthopedic injections.
Okay.
So they know how to feel your knee. They know where the joint space is, so that they're putting, I mean, very rarely do I have people tell me that like they passed out from pain.
Yeah.
But I'd be lying to you if I told you that it feels good ever. I mean, I do peptide shots. I get a testosterone shot. It's not my favorite part of every day to have, needle break skin, but we spray the area with the lidocaine so you don't actually feel the prick.
Yeah.
It's a pressure. So when I've done my knees, and everybody says that you can feel like a pressure inside.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
just like, but it's
you're putting
seconds.
a fluid in
You're
there.
putting a fluid in there, and it's a needle this long, but
I'm gonna pretend like I didn't hear that part. The needle this long.
it's this long. It is. It can be, but
Dude, anybody ever see the needle and they're like, "Oh,
yeah."
Are you gonna do that whole thing?"
I always tell, yes. I've watched many people do it, and I always tell them the same thing. Just don't look.
Yeah.
But it's honestly, it's seconds. It's 2 milligrams, or 2 milliliters of product most of the time.
Yeah, not much.
And they put a 1 cc maybe in it to add to it. But you're talking 3 cc's of fluid. It takes a few seconds.
Yeah.
It's not bad at
like
all.
under 10, 15 seconds and you're done.
It's probably even less than that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so now moving on to IV therapy,
Yes.
which is totally different,
Yes.
right? Because now you're putting it basically in your bloodstream,
Yes.
not in a local area. Like, what is the benefit to that?
Okay. Great question.
Because every time I see you, you look younger. I'm like, what are you drinking baby's blood over here? You're
Close.
like a vampire.
Yeah. No, it's so remember, stem cells, all of our organs even are made up of cells, right? So as we age, as we disease, environment, whatever, it's never a bad thing to have your organs flooded with new healthy stem cells.
Yeah.
So that's number one. The other thing we haven't talked that much about is stem cells, aside from repairing damaged tissue, which is like the probably most important thing, they're incredibly good at they have the best anti-inflammatory benefits. They search out inflammation and get rid of it. So that includes obviously in the joint spaces.
Mm-hmm.
But we have a lot of people have internal inflammation. If you have irritable bowel syndrome, some gut issues, a lot of times that's caused by inflammation. So if you can put 80, 120 million stem cells through your bloodstream, and they can find the inflammation in the body, there's going to be benefits from that as well.
Yeah.
And then thirdly, there's autoimmune benefits. So a lot of people that have it can help modulate the immune system.
Yeah.
So there's a reason why so many people. It's still a little bit of a unsettled science. It's a little bit more experimental, but people with severe autoimmune conditions
really
have got life-changing results by doing systemic. We call them, a systemic push or an IV of stem cells.
Now, I know you can't make health claims
Right.
for people, but what have you noticed for yourself?
I noticed that I started doing these IVs about 5 years ago, really COVID. So I got COVID like everybody else. I didn't actually get sick from COVID.
Really?
The only reason I knew I had it because at that time everybody was getting tested. My family had it, and they're like, oh, okay, I guess I have COVID. I didn't. I never got sick from COVID, but I like to play pickup basketball, 3-4 times a week.
Yeah,
And
I've seen you.
Yeah. I noticed that because the gyms were shut down in COVID, but we played an outdoor game. I'm sorry, don't get me. It's too late to get in trouble for that, right? We don't have any.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. Yeah. So we were playing an outdoor game. I didn't have any lung. I just didn't have any lung capacity.
Oh.
So that's when I started asking people in the industry. There wasn't a whole lot of stem cell IVs going on at the time, but somebody's like, yeah, you can put it through your bloodstream. It might help. There's a lot of docs were doing it for long COVID. So whether I had long COVID, I did not get a pulmonary. I don't have a before and after pulmonary, but that was the first time I noticed. I was like, within a couple of weeks, I got all my lung capacity back. Now I've been doing it quarterly for about the last 4 or 5 years. I'm not saying everybody needs to do it. I've got the access. I do events when sometimes there's extra product. I might All right, shoot me up again. But I can tell you that anecdotally, that my kids pass strep throat, COVID to each other, pink eye. I feel like they're sick all the time. I have not had anything other than a minor cold in about 4.5 or 5 years.
Wow.
Knock on wood. Again, this is anecdotal. I'm not making a medical claim, but it's like, what is it? Because I always feel good, but it's like I haven't had that debilitating sickness.
Yeah, like knock you on your butt for 3 days.
I haven't had it. There's times in the house where my wife, my kids are knocked out from something. I'm like, maybe a sniffle.
Yeah.
So that's on the
So you're doing that
IV
quarterly.
side. I do it quarterly.
Something I think a lot of people want to know is, are there side effects to this at all? Whether it's a local injection or if you're putting it through the whole body.
Great question. So I suppose medically you would have to say, just for a disclaimer, anytime you're breaking skin with a needle, technically you have to say there's a risk of infection. Obviously our providers are not reusing needles, so that's never happened. But the one thing that about 1 out of 20 people can get, if they do a lot of stem cells at a time, they can get what they call the healing response, where similar to somebody who gets a vaccine or a flu shot. If you ever, anybody out there's ever, like, they feel under the weather for like 24 hours. It's like the medicine in their body. So because stem cells are so powerful and anti-inflammatory, every now and then, like 1 out of 20 people will have like 24 to 48 hours where they feel more tired and sluggish.
They get a little bit of fatigue.
It's actually usually the opposite though.
Really?
Most people are like, I feel freaking amazing.
No way.
But I've done this enough times, thousands and thousands of therapy packages. There's enough times where people get the healing crisis, and it's nothing to worry about.
So what percentage of people are using the localized therapies versus the systemic therapy?
Yeah, good question. So on my direct-to-consumer business, we obviously offer packages. So a lot of times if somebody's going in for a knee and a shoulder, we don't obviously force anything on anybody, but they're like, as long as you're here and you're going through this, we can, you can add a systemic IV in the same treatment. So a lot of people will choose to do the systemic IV for, maybe they don't even have anything wrong, but they believe in the science, they've read about it. Or if they had any, immune issue, autoimmune issues, any history of heart disease, lung problems. A lot of times that's probably more so on the people that are more like into the biohacking. Like, I want to feel good. I want to do everything I can. I know there's no harm in doing it.
Yeah.
And we do a lot of packages where it's like, it makes sense to do it all at once.
How many cords, if you will, is one treatment? Is it like can you treat lots of people with one cord?
Oh yeah, yeah. So one cord is going to make a lot of vials.
Really?
Yeah, and there's no exact answer because we make 15 different products.
Sure. So the supply is pretty strong.
The supply is pretty strong, and people ask me all the time, like, what happens if this? More and more people are doing this. Are
Nobody's having babies anymore.
I know. My answer to that is twofold. I agree. I'm aware of the birth rates declining, but what is jumped astronomically in the last decade is the number of mothers that are choosing C-sections.
Really?
Yeah. For one reason or the other, it is like 7 times more in the last decade than it was like 30, 40 years ago. So there's way more C-sections, number one. And number two, even in my time in this space, I've seen the equipment that these labs use. It used to be like one cord maybe made like 200 vials. Don't quote me on that exact number, but it used to be like you could only get so much out of one cord, and they started figuring out how to be more efficient and less waste, and realizing, there's actually more good stuff in there to use. So between those two things, there's way more C-sections. The technology and on the manufacturing side has gotten a lot more efficient. I have yet to I've never heard of a shortage yet for any of the manufacturers because of supply.
How do they make this stuff? You get the cord, you send it to these tissue bank places, and then there's someone's making the product.
Think of a clean. I've toured these labs. I in the same way you're not going to see me in scrubs showing up on your appointment day with a needle. You're also not going to see me in a clean room with a hazmat suit on, dealing with.
It's biologics.
It's biologics. What I will tell you is, in the tours I've done of our manufacturing lab that we use, and before I was in the manufacturing side, I would tour every lab. It's wild. Like, we had to put hazmat suits on just to go into certain rooms.
Yeah.
And some of that goes over my pay grade. Just there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars of cutting edge technology, how they extract the cords, it's pretty wild.
It's an amazing process.
It's an amazing process. Yeah.
How long does it take from the time that cord is done to the time that they have a product ready? Do they process it pretty quick?
Yeah. So we when we buy our cords, my group, and I'm sure most people are this way, we want to get that cord within 24 hours right away to the third party. So that then the third party does all the screening. It depends on how many cords they're processing. So the way my partners and I do it, and the reason we have the most competitive pricing and the most concentration is we do about once a year enormous purchases. We're talking multi-millions of dollars where we have contracts with hospitals and then the
So
the labs.
you're buying them from the hospitals?
We have contracts with some of the hospitals, and then remember there's the third party that does the screening.
Yeah.
So most of our relationship is after the hospitals get it, after the raw material is screened.
Yeah.
We are purchasing a ton of raw material, getting it to two of our manufacturers.
Yeah.
And because we do so much, like towards the end of November, December, we did a huge buy. And by probably the end of this month, January or February, we're going to have enough product for the whole year.
Wow.
Now, so that's
Does it have to be refrigerated?
Oh yeah,
or frozen?
It's cryo. Yeah,
Cryo.
So we've got in Orlando, my partners and I, we've got like 6 very expensive cryo freezers with thousands of vials. You remember, because not every vials, it might look the same in the naked eye, but there's a different amount of product.
So you're
there's different
buying a
products.
stock of this, no different than any business buying inventory, so that you're prepared to deal with.
We are prepared. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
So you said something about pricing. I want to understand. Obviously, this sounds cutting edge. It sounds awesome. How expensive is it for somebody to work with you guys, on this?
Yeah. So great question. Of course, I'm going to give you the canned answer that it really depends on what you want to have done. There isn't a one size fits all. We have packages starting as like for a single body part. $5,000 is kind of the low end of the industry. We have there's ways to get it a little bit less than that.
So $5,000 to treat like one knee, and that includes somebody going.
That includes everything. So for us with Regenerative Revival on the direct to consumer side, all of our pricing, whatever the therapy package that our medical team and you and us in our patient concierge team, whatever we come up with that makes the most sense is going to include all the product that you need and then some, because we always on the side of we want you to get better with one treatment.
Yeah.
We're not interested.
Yeah, you're there for the success.
We are there for the success. And because my business model is not how many brick and mortar clinics can we build, and in those models, like a chiropractor office, nothing wrong with this. They're trying to see how many times you can go in and out of the door. We do one thing. We do regenerative therapies. So we're coming to you, and it behooves us, like it behooves the patient, to get better with one treatment, if at all possible. So all of our treatment packages are going to be a comprehensive, all-inclusive experience. So that $5,000 would include the medical provider, the oversight, the back end, the follow-up, the product, there's no hidden costs.
So $5,000 to do like a one area. What about the IV
So
stuff?
that's where let's put it this way.
Because that's more of an ongoing thing, really. If
It
you
can
wanted
be. Now, I do it quarterly. Sometimes I even hesitate saying that just because then sometimes people think you have to do it quarterly in order for it to work. I do it because I make the product.
You can.
And I can.
Right.
Right. So most people that are into the IVs are probably going to do once or twice a year.
Yeah.
There are biohackers that sign up for my 4 times or quarterly or 3 times. It's really, up to you. We have really great packages. The more you do, just like anything else, because we're going to do it all at one time. So without getting too specific on pricing, I'll just say this. I'm going to send a licensed provider to you. We do have a couple locations in town that if somebody really wanted to go to an office.
Here
we can
in
do it.
Minneapolis.
Yeah.
But you're saying all over the country.
50 states. Yep. So if your mom was in Phoenix and wanted to get treated, I would have sent my Phoenix people right to her house.
Yeah.
So I am facilitating all day long. My team and I are facilitating treatment packages for people from all over the country.
Yeah.
Somebody in Hugo, Oklahoma today said, I've got 5 people in my family. They all want to do longevity IVs.
Yeah.
And it was like 30 grand for the 5 people. We gave them a good deal. And I got my team working on finding our licensed Oklahoma practitioner. And not just that, but who can get out there the fastest?
Yeah.
Because we want to treat these people when they're ready.
So you said 30 grand for 5 people. So what is that, like $6,000? And that's for 4 treatments or for 1?
That's all of them are getting an IV,
One.
one full
So
IV.
it's $6,000 to do a systemic IV if you were to just do 1 treatment,
Yep.
like for your whole body.
Yep. Typically, now we're just going to get a little bit dicey, as a couple of those people are going to do joints too, because it's such a big that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're work with them.
We're working with them because I'm sending one provider to one house.
Yeah, it's concierge level. You're tailoring this.
Yeah,
this is so fascinating because you've kind of like productized or commoditized a service of something so crazy.
That's really
like you've built a system.
Yes.
For stem cells.
That is the best way. Like I always be clear, I'm not a doctor. I don't have an answer for everything. I'm not a provider. I'm not a scientist, but the science exists. The doctor, I've got them all in my network.
Yeah.
If I'm proud of anything about this, it's I have taken something that confuses most people. It's first of all, it's something people want. People want to get out of pain. They want alternatives. They don't want surgery. They don't want painkillers all their lives. They want to get back to they want to live their best life. And for so many people, pain and discomfort is keeping them out of doing that.
Yeah.
So that is a fact. We know that.
Yeah.
We know that regenerative therapy, these products change lives.
Yeah.
The biggest barrier for people is access and education. And I'm here. That's why I'm always telling people exactly what's in the product, what it does, who it works for. And then the access part is really where I've built up the network of traveling providers, and they will, concierge white glove medicine. That's what it is. And then on the other side of it, my other company, Precision Biologics, now I've got a couple hundred medical providers that I wholesale product to.
So you're helping them build a stem cell business.
100%. So if somebody's like, I've always wanted to get in this space, I'm scared, I don't know where to get it from, I don't know who's full of shit, who isn't.
Yeah.
I don't know how do I market without getting in trouble. That is a huge part of my business as well. So I probably do 2 or 3 Zoom calls or in-person meeting calls with doctors or groups of docs. I've got a lot of telehealth franchises that I supply product to, but I always tell people, you're not just going to get the product from me. You're going to get Seth Berge and my knowledge of how to speak about the products, because so many doctors or nurse practitioners or chiropractors or whatever, they're great at what they do, but they're not always great at communicating to their patients.
Yeah.
So some of them fail when they try to get into regenerative medicine because they think just having their products is just going to make them $1 million. It's like, you still have to be able to communicate with the patient, especially because this isn't covered by insurance. So a lot of times patients just come in, one track mind. Well, here's my Medicare card. And it's like, well, that's not how it works. It's going to cost money. Now the doctor doesn't know how to talk about it, and they don't get any business.
Okay, this brings us to the business of this.
Yes.
Because most of my audience is business people. How did you know you wanted to be in the stem cell business?
Well,
and then help me understand the business model.
I didn't know, I didn't know until it was presented to me. So I've been in the direct to consumer sales. I built sales teams for home improvement companies, solar. Years ago, I was in financial services, selling life insurance and annuities, always direct to consumer. And about 8.5 years ago, a business partner of mine that I've had for years prior, he went to a conference in Florida, and there was a chiropractor, really more of a marketing business guy, that was presenting on the business of stem cells. Like, this was brand new then, right? I'd only heard of it through a couple of ESPN clips with Kobe Bryant or whatever. But he was talking about the business side, and he's basically selling a business in a box. Now, the business I do now is not really anything like that. It's changed, but my former business partner came back and said, hey, I know you're doing well in the financial services space. I think you might want to take a look at this. The way we built our educational and direct sales companies for home improvement and solar was always education and access. So he said, I think this could be big. We don't know anything about it, but I think that we could probably turn this into a business and do pretty well. So that's how I was presented it as the business side.
Yeah. A very lucrative business.
If done right, it could
I know we're on
like
a
anything,
podcast and you're like, I'd love to sell some stem cells, but I also want to educate like business people. When you look at the business model, what is your dream? What is your vision for what you're building as a company?
Yeah. So it's really two things. So remember, I've got two companies in the space. I've got the distribution and the manufacturing side. The distribution side I love, if I'm being honest.
And that way, just to be clear, that's the one where you're helping other clinics distribute this product properly.
100%.
Okay.
So I love that only because if I could sell 5,000 vials that I've already helped manufacture and a doctor just sell it to the doctor. And he sells it to his people, obviously, just from a...
Well, it's the 80-20, right?
Yes.
Where you're like, it's way less work for me to sell 5,000 vials to one guy.
100%.
Right? Then so which model do you like better? Because one of them, you're touching the patient.
Yeah.
Right? And the other one...
It's like, which kid do you like better? I like my older one better for
you
some
want
things.
The honest answer?
Yeah,
no, I'm not going to do that.
So I feel closer personally to the direct-to-consumer, the regenerative revival, because I've sold so many of these therapy packages myself
directly to the person needing it,
to your mom, to whoever, right? And then that's kind of that gives you personal, like when you hear them say 3 months later and you say my mom's finger's better. I've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stories of people texting me, calling me, emailing me 6 months later, 3 months later.
Like, oh my gosh, Seth, this changed my life.
You changed my, like, obviously that feels good.
Yeah.
But patients are not always, customers are not always easy to deal with.
Well, yeah, you've got a whole customer service thing you've got to do.
Yeah. So if I just snap my fingers and say, you had to build one,
if you had to pick one.
Yeah. I mean, distribution is easier.
Yeah.
It's easier, but I'm still very passionate about the end user. I just,
well, I mean, if you think about it, the end users are still being affected.
They are.
You just don't get to hear all those stories.
Correct.
But maybe you're touching more lives with it.
Which is why I do both.
Yeah. Is there one or the other that you're going to focus on? Or are you like, no, I'm doing both? Because in a way, you're kind of competing with your own customer.
I am in some ways, but there's 350 million people that live here. I couldn't personally, or even with the team, I couldn't even dent, especially, baby boomers are I couldn't dent it. So I don't really look at it as competition because, of course, I know you know this, but if somebody on my direct to consumer purchases a $5,000 package, they're buying the product from my other company.
Right.
So
it's coming through you one way or the other.
It's coming through me one way or the other.
Yeah. What is your marketing strategy? Like, how do you do your sales? Like, to both groups, to the consumer and to the businesses?
Yeah. So, to the consumer, I've been in the live dinner seminar business since I was 23 years old.
The live dinner
seminar. Yeah. So that is a favorite type of marketing for me, one to many. I know you know a thing or two about events.
Yeah.
Our events aren't as big as yours.
But so you do these dinners.
Yep.
How many people will come to
Okay.
dinner?
So you take a restaurant. So we find a restaurant. It doesn't always have to be a restaurant. Sometimes
what kind
it's a
of
golf course.
restaurant?
It has to have a private room first and foremost, and it's not going to be a Denny's. It's going to be something that people want to go to. Probably not Ruth's Chris.
Yeah.
But somewhere, a lot of times it's in a random town. It's probably not a chain.
Sure.
But somewhere where they serve a steak and a fish option, and they have to have a private room.
Okay.
And then we have a marketing company down in Florida that specializes in direct mail. And what we'll do is we give them the location. So I have a team that goes out and finds a location for the sales guy, picks the town, picks a restaurant, makes sure they're available these dates, finds the menu. We usually give them 2 or 3 options: steak, chicken, and fish, unless it's like a specialty place, whatever. Then we tell the marketing company that does direct mail the demographics that we have. And our demographic direct to consumer for dinner seminars is definitely 55 to 80, because people our age, we have kids still in school. We're probably not going to take a Monday or Tuesday night and spend 2 hours listening to a talk that we're not even sure about just because it's a free meal. But when your kids are out of the house and it's just you and Jessica and you're both 65 years old and, it's like Monday night, you might do that. So our demographic is definitely 55 to 80 for the dinner seminars. So then they actually And then we have income demographics. Like you can really narrow it down. Like they have to be single family homeowners, make a certain amount. They have to have a certain amount of investable assets. So this marketing company buys a list of people that all live within a radius of the restaurant, and the mileage is going to determine the population size of that area is going to determine how many miles they have to go out. But we're looking for 5,000 to 6,000 names in our demographic. We mail them all. And then we wait for them to respond. A good response rate for direct mail is 1%. So if we send 6,000 mailers, we usually do 2 events, like an option for a Monday and a Tuesday. They get to pick 1 or 2. We'll hopefully get at least 30 people a night, 60 total people. And of those 30 people, they'll probably be mostly married couples. Doesn't have to be, but can skew on the side of
15 couples.
15 potential buyers buying units. And the beauty of that is you get a seminar holder, and I did this myself. I don't do it anymore. I've got guys do it for me. But we give about a 60 to 90 minute talk while we're feeding them. So we start with salads, and we're doing things. We're not just talking. We've got Tony Robbins, because he's been a big believer in stem cells. He wrote a book on it. So we play snippets of him talking about how it changed his life. Life Force.
Great
yeah.
book.
So we play his videos, we play Joe Rogan videos. Mel Gibson has been talking about it for years. Testimonials. So we're breaking up videos. We're talking, we're really selling. And this is medical. It changes lives, but people have to understand, anything in sales is identifying the problem and the solution. So we spend 15, 20 minutes talking about the problem is their pain, and the problem is they don't have good options right now. Meaning most people are tired of taking pain pills. Most people don't want to get another knee replacement, another surgery. So we kind of, remind them of, you do have a problem here. Your solutions that you think you have now aren't really what you want.
They're not helping you.
They're not helping you. And then the last half is, this is what stem cells, this is what regenerative therapy, this is what we do, this is why we do it better. And then from there, we're looking to get a one-on-one consult. So we're not selling any treatment packages in a restaurant, but we hope to get 50% or more of the people are like, I think I want that, or at least I'm close to wanting that. Then we do a one-on-one consult where we find out exactly what body parts, any diagnosis, and then we're putting together a package. And most of our packages are between $5,000 and $20,000.
So of the 3 people or 30 people that come and 15 buying units, you're trying to get how many appointments will you get out of that room of 15 couples? I love funnels.
Yeah. So a sign-up rate, you want 50 to 75% sign-up rate. Now, this is the way we can nerd out on sales, because some of the guys who do this, they don't want to waste their time. They're gonna, when it comes time to asking for the appointment at the end, some guys are like, I'm just gonna hammer it. I want everybody to sign up regardless. You can almost kind of, by the time you've done a dinner seminar, I have people like literally eating out of your hand almost.
Yeah, the people that are like, let's do this.
So some guys are going to position the one-on-one consult in a way that everybody's going to want to sign up regardless of interest level. Some guys are going to kind of hard close at the seminar and kind of say things like, it's going to cost this much. I'm going to ask you tomorrow whether you want to do this or not. So if you're serious, I want to see you. So that's, I just preface it there.
And you have guys that are experimenting with the way to go about
100%.
it. So, okay. So
50 to 75% sign up on the appointment.
So you'll get like seven or 8 people.
Yes.
Okay. And then how many will go forward? 1 or 2?
More than that. So let's say you sign up 7 people from a Monday night. Probably 1 or 2 of them are going to drive home that night or wake up in the morning, the husband and wife, and be like, I don't think we're ready for this.
It's a bunch of slick salesmen.
And it's not always that, though. It's usually, did we just sign up for it because we liked that, in the moment, we don't actually have any money to spend.
Yeah, it was a false positive.
Yeah. So you probably won't run all 7 or 8 of those. You'll run 5 of them.
Yeah.
And you should sell way more than 50. Our guys sell more than 50%, because at that point, if somebody has seen the whole entire seminar, you get them the spiel. We do like to tell them a range of price at the seminar, so they're not thinking it's $200.
Yeah.
If they still have you sit down, the guys that are good at their job are selling way more than 50%. So
you get 4 to
8 patients if you have 2 full rooms.
I mean, it's a great tactic.
It is.
So how many seminars a month are you guys doing around the country?
Most of our guys are out every week. So if there's 4 weeks in a month, they're scheduled 42 to 47 weeks a year.
So this is big business.
Yeah.
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 So is your goal to kind of multiply those efforts?
I have, without getting too convoluted, I also work with a bunch of seminar groups that I've like founded a lot of these seminar companies and then kind of either stepped away and then provide themselves.
Yeah.
So I consult for a lot of seminar companies. I have some of my own seminar guys. There is a lot of opportunity in the seminar world. Where you asked me where I'm going next is part of what I'm doing here. I love doing podcasts. I've worked with guys like David Meltzer, all these
You got a lot of cool friends, man.
Andy Elliott types. So I am now trying to find, so that marketplace, the 55 to 80, I've got that unlocked with the dinner seminars. Okay. I've got them going to every state of the country. I've got my hands on that. There's only so much. You can definitely oversaturate a market with dinner seminars. So it's not infinite.
Hey, honey, you want to go to another free dinner?
I'm telling you, we call them plate lickers. Charles, there's a name for them. I've gone to a town, I've gone back 6 months, and it's the same couple that didn't buy the first time. They're plate lickers.
Do you ever go, I'm sorry, your registration didn't go through. This is the fourth time.
I have. The stories I could tell you of doing dinner seminars for 18 years, people showing up drunk or showing up, couples fighting in the middle. I've kicked people out.
You've seen it all.
You have no idea.
Okay, so just changing gears before we finish. Recently, there's somebody that gets over 1 billion views a month globally, Adley.
Yep.
And absolutely brilliant marketing genius.
Yeah.
And they just went live. You went to Adley's place and you did stem cells with her.
Yeah. I didn't.
Your team did, but you were there.
Yeah, I was there because of the
for the content.
For that, yeah. So check it out. It's on my Instagram. So I've been doing that. A lot more influencers. Andy Elliott, big sales trainer, started with him. He found me for stem cells because he was looking for them for himself. Somebody in his team. I don't know how they found me, but they found me. So that kind of opened up. That was about 2.5 years ago. Yep. So you asked me what my plan is. There's a lot of, I'm realizing that all these high level people, they don't know anymore that they're also like, where do I get stem cells? Yeah. I know they're good, but I don't know. Do I really want to go to Tijuana? Do I really want to go to Panama? Yeah. So I am fulfilling a need, number one, for all these high level people, but people like Adley and Andy Elliott, all these people have masterminds, groups, people that can afford whatever they want. So that's been my, the seminar thing is running itself. Yeah. That's on lock. So my newest ventures is getting my name out there, working with people that are influencers that have a large audience. And that was like the theme of 2025. And it's going to be even more so the theme of 2026. So
you've really done something interesting, which is taking your skill of sales and your passion for people's wellness, and you've put them into this beautiful thing. Yep. What would you say to somebody that's thinking about going harder on their skill of sales, but they just don't know what they should do? You found stem cells. Yep. But what advice do you give to somebody who's like, I'm really good at sales, but maybe you should say, come work for you?
No, but it's not necessarily that.
How do you find that thing?
Yeah. So I have that. That's a good question.
Because you've done it a few times.
I've actually had about 6 complete different industry changes, but it's always been direct sales. I think if you're a skilled salesperson, and commission is what you're living on, then you need to find an industry that pays the highest commissions and find a mentor or a group that is going to help you get to where the top 1% of that company is. So that's kind of what I've told a lot of young salespeople, and it's just fine. And that's kind of what I did in my 20s and 30s before I really got serious about entrepreneurship, is what is out there that is helping people that's legitimate, but has margins that will reward me for my skill. So I've seen what really makes me sad, and probably does for you too, Charles, because you've hired more people than I have. I'll see somebody working at Verizon who is way too good of a salesperson to be selling a phone for no commission. Yeah. I've hired gym trainers. I've hired these people.
My number one salesperson was at T-Mobile sales.
Yeah, and they were probably barely the work that they were doing, they were not getting rewarded for. Yeah. So that is my number one thing. I don't have there's a lot of industries that you could go into, but if you're really good at sales in your experience, you need to find an industry where they're going to pay you The
For your
highest amount of
talent.
commissions for your talent, and then that gives you an opportunity within that organization or that industry to maybe be an entrepreneur. If you're a young person, a lot of times they get fooled by social media thinking everybody lives in Miami is making $10 million a year, and sometimes they try to skip steps. But if you can get good at sales, be comfortable with commission only, get an industry, learn the industry, and then find an organization that will let you maybe even grow a sales team underneath you. It's not always about, becoming Alex Hormozy right away. Sometimes that's the downside of social media is
It's an illusion.
It's an illusion. Like, oh, every 25-year-old's making $10 million a year because they decided to be an entrepreneur. Well, half those guys are faking it. So the alternative to that is get good at sales, get into an industry that pays you for your talent, and then not just the industry, be picky. I always tell people, be very, very picky about who you work for, because if you're that good at sales and this, you're hireable. You're never not going to have a job. So it pains me when I see really good salespeople not getting paid very much just because they don't understand that there's potentially better things out there, or maybe they just didn't even ask their own organization for, hey, is there more opportunity for me? I'm the top sales guy for 3 years. They should, I think you know what I'm saying.
There should be opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you can sell, you can do anything.
You can do anything.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. Last question for you. If you and I both die tomorrow, what do you want to be remembered for?
Good one. I would want to remember, this is going to be a canned answer, but it's very true as a father and a family man. Yeah. First and foremost, I hope I leave a legacy for my wife and kids, right? My kids are 13 and 9. I hope they're, you said if I die tomorrow, hopefully I've already put an impact on them enough that they'll remember me as a hard worker that still made time for them. But I'm a people person like you. I think that's why we get along so well. I like almost everybody, maybe to a fault sometimes, but I think I've been told this. I want people to think when they think of me, they smile, or they think that guy loved life. Every time I saw Seth, it was a good experience. Like, he was almost always happy, positive. Of course, I want to touch as many lives. I've got a growing empire of people that rely on me. About 20 employees. So there's obviously that's a big part of it. But I just want people to remember me as somebody that lived life to the fullest and was a good time.
Dude, it's funny. I've known you for 5-6 years?
Yeah, at least, yeah.
That is 100% how I think of you.
Yeah.
And you've done a good job of that. And I would say that your wife and kids would say those things about you too.
I appreciate that.
So thank you for joining me. Thank you for sharing all this amazing stuff. I want to get some stem cells.
Let's do it. We'll send the film crew to the ranch.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
Thanks, Seth.
Yeah, appreciate it.
If you like this episode of Cleared for Takeoff, make sure you leave a comment, subscribe, turn on notifications, of course, share it with somebody that you think would love it. And of course, check out my company, IDCOM. We do events all over the country. And if you're looking for the best team in event production, check out idcom.com.